How do you notify customers that their loan is being sold?
So the customer will receive a notification which provides 60 days notice with regard to the sale of the loan.
So you send that to them?
Correct.
And what form does that take? A letter, I take it?
It's a letter, that's correct, yes.
And within that letter, do you detail all of the protections that are transferred with the sale?
Well, for instance, the sale has not happened at this moment. It is still it's planned, but it has not happened. So the content of the letter is yet to be finalised, and if that's a necessary requirement, we will include it. But the content has not been finalised at this moment.
Well, I think really above and beyond it being a necessary requirement, I think it's necessary to let people know. I think you have an obligation to do that. Would you not feel you had a...
Obviously, if there's an obligation, we would include it, and indeed we would want to include as much information as possible to assist the customers. In some cases, these are customers who have not been in contact or cooperated with us at all, so we're not sure how they will receive those letters, but in this regard we will include as much information as is necessary, naturally, with regard to that transition, but it has not happened yet.
Well, I think it's very important, you see, because when you say, and the other banks say that, you know, they the rights are, and the central bank will tell us the rights are transferred to, say if it's been sold to a vulture fund, the rights are transferred. It's very, very, very important, regardless of who it is, that you have an obligation to your customer, that you detail all of those protections that go with that it's not just a letter with the minimum requirements.
It's a reasonable observation, and as I mentioned, we will comply with what's necessary in that communication. But it is not has not been prepared yet. So your comments are welcome.
When
we
it
take
is,
them into
that will
account.
be a standard. Well, maybe you could furnish the chair with a copy of the letter to the communication that you're going to be sending to any people that where their loans are being sold off.
If we were to list all of the rights that travel with the loan, it would be a pretty extensive list, because we would have to list the contents of the Code of Conduct for Mortgage Arrears, the Consumer Protection Code, and personal insolvency legislation. So it probably wouldn't be a constructive thing to just necessarily list the rights, because, as I said, that it would be an extensive list for the regulation and legislation that exists in Ireland. But we would certainly look at that in terms of maybe references to those in the letter that we would send. And as the Central Bank has pointed out, it is very clear through the media and through comments from yourselves that the rights travel with the loan, and the credit servicing firm which any acquirer would use would have to comply with the same regulations that we do.
Yeah, but see, it's not, and you know, in reality, that's not what's happening at all on the ground across the board. And people are finding out, and how people are finding out that their mortgages have been sold is they suddenly get a letter from one of the vulture funds to say, now we own your mortgage.